Yeah, I see. Chopping it up with Aaron Hill. Chill conversations with cool people about everything under the sun. Tonight I'm with the good brother, Larry Lancaster. And we are with my slippers right there in the background, if you can see it. My slippers are making a guest appearance. We're hanging out with Larry in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's go. Let's get it. Bro,
Yeah,
can you hear me clearly?
yeah, yeah.
But that was a rhetorical joke, bro. I'm starting already, bro. You wouldn't answer me if you couldn't.
Sometimes you can hear but not understand or whatever. So
That is true. That is 100% true. What you making, bro? Like you about look like you just finished a crime scene. You just like, yeah, I'm just cleaning up the mess with the knife just to show you, so that way, we good to go. What you cooking, bro? Or you MacGyvering?
I'm a MacGyver. Actually, it's funny that you asked that. Exactly what I'm doing, MacGyver.
It's the only way to describe it too, because like that's different than like everything else. MacGyvering is when you use shit for purposes that it ain't wasn't even made for, to fix shit. Yeah, man. But that's what's up, bro. Just hanging out, bro. Just catching up for a few. Um, yeah, man. You said how's your weekend, bro? Pretty
It was
decent.
cool, man. Got to hang out with my boy a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The sun.
yeah, my son, right?
So I don't think I've ever. I mean, unless you threw him in a joke here or there, I don't think I ever knew you had that you were a dad. I don't think. How old is your son, man?
17. You seen him when we used to do Purple Honey and shit? He would come, hang out.
Help you. I probably did, and probably for some reason just didn't even
He
think.
would be with me backstage and all that.
Right. What's his name, man? He's a junior or?
He's actually a third. I'm a junior.
Oh wow, that's what's up, bro. That is what's up. Yeah, I didn't realize that, man. Wow, 17. So, even though I'm considerably younger than you, I'm just, um, uh, I so I came into the life of um, my son when he was 5, and so he's 20 now. So I think it's kind of crazy. Like, how do I have how do I have a son that's older than your son? Um, but I think about it, I'm like, man, what is it like to have a 17-year-old nowadays, bro? Because
That's because my pullout game better than yours, son.
it's God, with all the fucking game,
That's
slap all the game, bro. That's hilarious, man.
I'm
Yeah,
like them sleeper sofas, baby. That pullout game.
right. Hey yo, the sleeper so yo, when I was a kid, yo, the sleeper sofa yo was the joint, son. That was the
Yeah.
yo. That
The,
was the
the
joint.
Jennifer, the Jennifer. Remember they used to have the Jennifer sleepers.
Right?
They had a brand.
Damn, yo. The 80s, bro. How old are you, man?
51.
My brother's 51 too. That's what's up, bro. Yeah, man. So I'm trying to think when the first time we met. I'm trying to figure out. I'm guessing it was at Purple Honey for sure, but I don't know if that's the
But
first.
we actually knew each other before that
Wait.
from the music scene because most of a lot of the musicians, especially the good ones,
Mhm,
you guys travel and mix in and out a lot of stuff.
mhm.
So y'all used to do I think you used to do organic soul and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I used to do it. Yeah. So I knew you guys from that.
Right,
5 seasons, and
right.
also being selected to host a lot of jazz events.
Right.
So I got to know a lot of the musicians just from doing that kind of stuff as well, not just doing comedy, but people would get me to host a lot of their jazz events and stuff.
Right.
So I thought, just start saying you guys, saying you, Miles,
Right.
and different Spider and different musicians and stuff, just from being on the scene, even being around Isaac and Isaac Parr, and also I used to go and I love live music too, so I would always go to the jam sessions down at 347 and stuff like that.
Right. You would go there. You would go there and sit in, like
No, I would just go and watch the show.
Right.
You guys, you used to do the Haven too, right? Yeah, when they used to do jazz and stuff at the Haven.
Yeah. In fact, Blue, my bass, remember Blue? Like Blue was definitely, he was one of the guys that used to be up at the Haven, a lot with a band up there, and Craig and all those guys.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely feel you on that.
And so I would generally have a comedy night at one of the spots.
Yeah.
I had a comedy night. I had a Sunday night at the Haven.
Right.
I had a Wednesday night at the 347. Then it changed to a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So and then I would come on an off night when I wasn't there just to see what else they had, and so just being in on the scene, the art scene period, not just comedy, but
comedy, right?
Music, poetry, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the whole nine. Yeah, bro. Hey man, I want to introduce you to my slippers right here, bro. I saw you kind of peeked up at me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hella H slippers.
Yo, so yeah, like what? Okay, so I know what it's like for me as a musician growing up on the scene or what have you, but like I've never actually talked to a person who's a comedian to see like what's that like coming up, so to speak. Like what's that like? I mean, and I only say that because I can imagine. I mean, you'll be able to tell me better than I can probably imagine it, that like if you going someplace as a comedian to jump in to like the open mic or that kind of thing, I mean, I guess it's the same kind of vibe, like where people are listening and they're kind of experiencing from the same perspective, but I think it's a lot different because if you're a singer, usually you're at least going up with a couple people that's going to accompany you. If you're a musician,
Mm-hmm.
you're definitely doing that. But like the one thing that for me about comedy that I can relate to as a solo pianist is like it's a special kind of path, you know what I mean? Because of that dynamic, right? And so I'm just curious, like, what's that like? How, like, as a comedian coming up, what was that like for you? As far as how do you even get in? What do you do in order to get on this? Like, to do, like, what do you do?
Well, the first thing is
what did you do? I'm sorry. What was your path more so? Not what do you do? I'm sorry.
right. Well, for me, that's a good question because a lot of people don't know how to get started.
Yeah.
I think it's a little easier now because you have so much information. You got the internet, you got, you have access to things. But back then, there was none of that. I couldn't go on Instagram and say, oh, it's an open mic tonight. Everything was word of mouth. And so actually what happened was I was hanging out with a buddy of mine on a Tuesday night back in like 2000. And we were looking for something to do. Right. And back then, it wasn't a lot of stuff to do on like Mondays and Tuesdays and stuff like that. Right. We generally had that, party scene may start on a Wednesday or Thursday and go into the weekend. But we were riding around down Fells Point. We were looking for something to do. We saw these nice looking girls going in the club, which was the Latin Palace. And we was like, yo, let's see what they doing. Let's see what's over there. Right. And so we parked and followed them. And it was a comedy show going on. Oh, and so the guys came out. It was a guy named Jay Phillips, real funny cat, moved to LA, doing big things out there. He's on DL Hughley's show, and he goes on tour with DL Hughley. And then another brother named Stacy Carver, who is doing great things. And Stacy Carver is actually a school teacher. He and his wife have a dance studio that's real successful. So they're doing great things as well. Right. And so I went to go see the show, and it was about 15 people at the show. It was a, real small, intimate crowd, but I don't know if you ever been to Latin Palace. It's a big Miami style type club.
Yeah, I was there. I went there a couple times, like in '09, I want to say. I was
Right.
I was starting to like vibe with that whole salsa lessons kind of thing or whatever.
Yeah. They used to do all of that.
Yeah, I only went a couple
So
times.
anyway, you know the size of the club, so to have
Yeah,
15, 20 people in there is nothing, right?
right.
But the show was so good and
Yeah,
so great
right.
that I walked up to them after the show and was like, look, man, you guys put on a great show.
Yeah.
They were disappointed because they didn't get the crowd that they wanted, but I was like, this show was great. And
Right.
anybody who wasn't here, they missed out. And I
Yeah.
said, so
Yeah.
people been telling me I'm funny all my life. I want to make people feel like how y'all made me feel tonight. How do I get started?
Wow.
And so Stacy was like, well, you're in luck. We're having an open mic competition in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Take these 5 tickets. They $10 a piece. Sell these 5 tickets. This will be your registration fee.
Oh shit.
And come back in 2 weeks and, you can get started. You can get in the contest.
Right.
So at the time I was working for corrections. I was working at Baltimore County Detention Center.
Right. Now,
And so, of course,
was that after?
uh-huh.
Was that right after you got out, or no? I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was, working at Baltimore County Detention Center, and I went back to my coworkers because, I was always the funny guy on the job, always cracking on them, and told them, hey, man, I stand-up comedy. And they was like, oh, about time, so you can stop talking about our asses.
Bro, let me
You
tell you,
better be
bro.
funny.
Let me tell you something, bro. Especially since we worked together over the years now, bro. I would have instead of getting paid from, I would have paid to work with you just to fucking.
Yeah, man. So we used to have a ball, right? And I worked with a lot of other funny people, but of course,
Right.
I was like the funniest.
Yeah.
So anyway, they was like, we're going to come, we're going to support you, and your ass better be funny. So,
right. Oh, we were talking.
right.
Yes, at the job.
That tough love, right?
You
So,
wasn't gonna hear the end of that shit, bro. After that, if it wasn't.
so they came 20, 30 deep, like all my coworkers came to support.
Nice, yo.
Yeah, and so I went up, and it wasn't a comedy show, it was a variety show. So I was going up against singers,
Right.
jugglers, whatever people talent was,
Right.
and I actually won. I had no idea what I was doing, but I won.
Right.
And so I had been doing it ever since. Stacy and Jay took me under their wing and, showed me a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was my first introduction. And so then what happened was I took a break for a couple of months. I stopped. And then someone reconnect. Matter of fact, one of my coworkers who was there that night, a good buddy of mine, one of my closest friends named Tony Pridgeon. He was also a corrections officer.
Yeah.
He turned me on to Ricky Shackelford. And so I started working with Ricky Shackelford and Howard G. And they had a comedy night at Corinthians.
Oh, shit.
And so I started with those guys.
I'm familiar.
Right. And the way it used to work, you came up under somebody who was already doing comedy.
Right.
They would give you sell tickets or whatever. Because, when you first start, your family, your friends, everybody wants to come and see you and support you.
Right.
And so they would use that and get people to sell tickets and all that stuff. And so I had a following. People would come and support me. Right. And so I'm always grateful to those people because, they came and even when I wasn't that great. I mean, I was always funny, but I wasn't experienced. And so they would come and see me, 5-7 minutes at a time and stuff like that. Right. And so they always came and supported me, man. And I always appreciate that. So once I did work with Ricky and Howard, then it was consistent. I never stopped. And that was 21 years ago.
Damn. That's crazy.
So that's basically what you have to do. You have to find people who are already doing it, learn from those people, try to soak up as much information as you can and stay on stage. That's what I always tell people. You gotta, because once you start networking with those people who are doing it, then they'll tell you, okay, they got an open mic this night. They got an open mic on this night. Or I'm having a show and I'll give you 5 or 7 minutes on my show. And so once you start connecting with those people, the world kind of opens up to you. And then you can figure it out from there.
Oh yeah. Yo, was that first? Okay, so you walk up to them during the event. You feel that feeling. It's wild too, because I know exactly what that feeling felt like in my own way, where it was like that moment where he was like, man, y'all, the way that y'all impacted this audience, you saw like a mirror of yourself, like a reflection of like you know what I'm saying? And for you to be like, yo, that makes me want to be right here. That leads you to,
Right.
selling a couple tickets or whatever. Like you say, the one thing I can say, even though, like I said, I've never had any experience in your field, is that when it comes to comedy, like if you make your family laugh, it's almost,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you got at least them 10 people. You at least got, Aunt Gina, Uncle Frank, you at least got, you at least got them people, which is a really
Right.
good thing. So I can imagine you had that when you, like, when you hit that stage for the first time. Like, was it business as usual because this is just who you are, and it was never like a transition over, or was this like the opposite, like, oh shit, like I'm used to doing this, but like, oh shit, like what did it feel like for you?
Well, what it felt like for me was what definitely wasn't business as usual. This is what people don't understand. And I always, when I talk to people who want to get into comedy or young people who want to start, I always try to demystify it for them.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when people are good at something, they like to act like they're the only ones who could do it.
Yeah.
And to a degree, they're right.
Mm-hmm.
But what I try to tell people is you're never going to know until you step on stage.
Right.
And so I didn't start doing it until I was 30, even though all my life people had been telling me I'm funny enough to be a professional comic. I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
And so even when I wanted to do it and I finally got the nerve to try it, I still didn't think I was good enough. Because what I was measuring myself against was the finished product. I was measuring myself against the people I already saw on TV,
right,
and people who were already there. And those are people who had 15, 20 years in the game. And so you can't look at those people and measure yourself against them. Right. You have to just start and work your way to that point.
Yeah.
Because what happens is if you start and you see a Kevin Hart, you'll overwhelm yourself. Like, he can inspire you to want to do comedy, but then you're like, I'll never be that good. But Kevin Hart wasn't always Kevin Hart. He had to get to that point. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I was so afraid that the night I was supposed to perform at the Latin Palace, all I was thinking about was how I'm going to get out this shit. I was like, I'm going to fall down backstage. I'm going to act like I broke my leg so I don't have to go on. Like, I was petrified. I was really instead of working on my material.
Right.
When I was I'm thinking about how I'm going to get out of doing this. Right?
My man said, I'm going to fall down backstage.
Right. I'm just like, oh shit, right. I'm a fake an injury. Like,
Let me tell you something, bro. Like, with as much as I have laughed my ass off, bro, at you, like, and so many times, like yo, you have no idea how many nights, like, you've made for me where I go home feeling like that much lighter, like, yo, cause like I'm just silly. I'm a goofy dude. Like, you're a talented comedian in that regard, and that's not a downer to myself. Like, I appreciate what I do too. I just can appreciate another brother. Right. So,
right.
But I say all that to say, bruh, with everything I done heard you say, that story right there, bruh. Hey, bruh.
And it's true, Aaron. I really
backstage,
out this shit, right? So what happened was, I talked to myself. This is where you separate yourself from the other people.
Yeah.
Not the fact you have ability, but at the fact that you don't let your fear paralyze you.
Yeah, yo. That's the hell I'm talking.
That's the key.
Right.
We all get scared. We're all afraid. We all have those anxieties. We all have those insecurities where we think we're not good enough. Yeah. But you get on the other side of it and you push past it. I think people feel like entertainers never are afraid to entertain. Like, we were born to do this. And that is true to a degree. But what they don't understand is that I'm afraid of it just like you are. But I got on the other side. I pushed past the fear. And so that's how I was able to grow and continue to do it. Yeah. But so what I told myself was this. I said, if I don't do it, I'm never going to ever tell another joke again.
Oh, that's wow.
I said, if you don't go out there, and I talked to myself almost like, like an out of bounds. I said, if you're punking go out there and do this shit. Don't ever tell another joke in the fucking break room. Don't crack on anybody at the family dinner. You know, just don't do it. And so I knew I couldn't do that. So that put pressure on me to when I got it. I know I ain't gonna stop because it was in me. You know, that was who I was at that point.
Right.
So I said, well, I had to go through with it, sink or swim. And so I just went and I pushed myself. And let me tell you something else. I went through that, having that nervous feeling every time I had to perform. You know, you get the bubble guts, like when somebody say, yo, I'm gonna beat you at 3 o'clock. Remember you was in school and the school was like, yo, your ass, and you know you couldn't beat them, right?
3 o'clock.
And all day you got this nervous bubble gut feeling like, shit, when 2:30, 3 o'clock come, damn.
Right.
And you know, I had this feeling for weeks, man, before I had to perform. And so continuously I had to overcome that feeling to step on stage. And then at some point it just went away. I can't explain how it happened. Why I happened.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Now I'm still nervous every time, but not like I used to be when I first started, where I had that fear.
Hell yeah.
That's what separates the performers, because you see a crowd, you never know. I always like comics who are so sure of themselves they know they're gonna go out and rip.
Hell yeah.
You know, no comics who say that. I was never one of those comics. I'm still not. I always like, I don't know how this shit gonna go. I'm hope I'm funny. I know I got the ability. I know I had the experience, but I still had to go out there and do the job, because you know this like I know it.
Yeah.
An audience is different every night. You just never know what can happen.
Right.
You could do everything right and bomb. Yeah. Or you could go out there without a plan and say some crazy shit you never said before and rip. You just don't know.
You just don't know. Hey, bruh, let me tell you something, man. Check this out, right? So this is what the fuck we talking about right here, man. And this changed my life a couple of years ago, man. When we going to school, courage, yo, like.
Right.
Yo, let me tell you, man. Like at least about a year and a half ago, man. I'm looking up words. I look at courage. Now, you know, I'm 38 years old, so I'm like, shit. I know what the shit means. Like, it means that you know you going to do something. But the thing that
most people think it's bravery, and that's not really what it is.
Man, hold on, man. Like, I've known you as a comic. You didn't tell me you was a goddamn motivational speaker, a damn university teacher, bruh.
Right.
I'm feeling you, because that's exactly where I was getting ready to go. It's like I was like, oh shit, there's the difference between this and bravery, and I was like, the difference is that with courage, the fear is still there. It just doesn't paralyze you. Like you say, you just don't let this shit paralyze you. And yo, I could not like attest to that more. And it's crazy because I'm gonna give you another one, right? So you got that, but have you ever heard of this word before? You ever heard of equanimity before?
No.
Equanimity, bro. The state of being.
Check your credit score.
Oh man, I did that wrong. What'd you say, bro?
That sounds like some shit that check your credit score, like one of those. Go on equanimity and see what your credit score is before you know. Yeah, that's what that sounds like.
Right. Exactly. Yo, let me tell you something, bro. Like, this mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially when in a difficult situation. Composure, calmness, calm, self-control, coolness, cool-headedness. And if it was one word to describe you in that, bro, it'd be cool-headedness, bro. And the thing that I love about it is this. So it's like, this is why this makes sense to me, what you're saying, right? So this is why I love chopping it up with people, because I remember a long time ago, Blue, you know, open-toe sandal Blue. Yo, I still, the amount of jokes, bro, that I remember, the classics, bro, when you got us on stage, or when you get somebody like Blue, bro, I can't even tell you, man. But I remember one time, you know, we hanging out, and we just talking about life, man. We dealing with it music, but we talking about it with spirituality and philosophy, comedy, dance, art, all these things, and we like, yo, at like the highest level, and when I say highest level, let me say that another way, right? Because there's never a highest level; it's always a journey. But at a certain level of mastery, right? It's like all the shit is like coming from that same place. Like it embodies like the same kind of characteristics. The beautiful thing about what you just said is like you like, here I am, I go out, I'm still nervous, I still never know what's what or whatever, so I'm always,
Mm-hmm.
paying attention, I'm always in that way. But then I just like, well, I take all my experience of this 21 years and more, boom, to this, and where I fall is like right in the middle. I'm showing up, I know how to do this thing, and I'm open just to
Mm-hmm.
try to see how this goes and how this flows so I can see where I can fit in. You're one of
Right.
you're one of the best comedians I know, bro. And of course, like anything else with art, like comedy and anything, it's all subjective and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is on a personal level because I could relate to your flow because it's essentially
Mm-hmm.
how I flow and what I do, and so I see it as the same, like it's the same thing. Like that's what I'm talking about. But like little,
And it's
hmm
because most comics would love, that's comedy and music are very much the same because they both require
hmm
timing and delivery.
yep,
And so it's a rhythm
mm,
that you get into.
right,
And so and it's also improvisation.
yep,
It's a lot of same qualities. That's why you notice Dave Chappelle pairs music with his shows a lot
hmm
when he does it. And so I always wanted to be a musician. I just love what you guys do. Like, and I'm always fascinated. That's why I used to hang around the scene and listen to the music. And, I always love what you guys do. You have a structure,
yeah,
say like you learn the song. But then when you can take the song and do something else with it,
yeah,
still within that.
right,
And comedy,
right,
same way. Night the stage, I got a pretty good idea of what I'm gonna say,
right.
but I'm open to energy and the spirit of whatever happens.
Oh yeah.
And that's where you get that. And you can do things that people may not recognize and then come back and be like, yo, that's what the fuck he been playing for 5
Right,
minutes.
for 5 minutes, exactly.
I ain't know Murray had a little lamb. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Right.
Hey, bro, let me tell you. So the cool part about this, again, like just that point of identification, like I swear. So I look at my musical journey. I think about the beginning of when I started playing, right? Like the beginning of my experience, like yours, right? Just getting into it, going up to the people, asking the questions, getting an opportunity. I think about what it was like then when I would approach the stage, so to speak, right? And then to where it is now. So you go from being like, okay, you need to know all the details about everything. Like you just like, okay, what's what? When am I gonna do? Like, okay, because like, whew. To then you get to the point where you like, you start actually kind of enjoying, like not knowing certain shit just because you know that as an improviser, it's you are in this place now where you're so trusting of the process and yourself in the moment that everything is gonna be all right, right? No matter what happens.
Like seen it before. You like it ain't too much I haven't seen,
Exactly.
and pretty much whatever happens, I'm prepared for.
Fair for.
And if something does happen that I haven't seen, then tomorrow I can't say that I've seen it, and and the experience that I've gained. So you don't look at nothing is a surprise. Everything is a lesson.
Exactly. Hey, bro. Yeah,
Right.
man. Yo, this is so crazy, bro. I'm sitting here like, yo, I've known you so long, like in these past years, and it's the first time we ever had this kind of conversation. I'm like, yo, like
Right.
a goddamn philosopher, yo, goddamn. Hey, bro, that's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. You like, I could not identify more with what you're saying, and that's why I love about it. Cause again, I've watched you in so many scenarios, and I've had so much fun because, like, aside from music, like I'm a natural, just born goof troop. Like, and I get it from
Mm-hmm.
my mama. Like my mother is like one of the silliest people I know. My mother used to literally sit there and like in the 80s, she would watch America's Funniest Home Videos and like tape the shit and rewind it and sit there and watch the same scene over and over and over. Like my father would be like, God, that is not. And my mother would just be in, but she just had that humor, she and that kind of thing. So I
Mm-hmm.
grew up with that. So I'm naturally that. So although my life takes the pathway, the funny thing is now I'm like it's coming out in my personal brand because now we live during a time where you could be all the things. So I'm being all the things. So
Right.
goofy side is
Right.
coming out, and it's making people laugh. But because I can appreciate so much that field and looking at another brother, like I've watched you in so many scenarios, man, and it's always so fun. Like it's like when I tell you, like I look forward to it, especially like in the times that we've been where you've been the main event. Like I've been looking forward to it as main event, and even if it wasn't the main event, it was my main event. I like the night. Like I couldn't
Right.
wait,
Right.
kick back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I have the appreciation for it on a deep level, plus just the natural born, the natural humor. I've watched you. I've been at churches with. I've been at churches.
Yeah. We see that's the thing. We've done so many private gigs together, weddings, and
Yeah,
it's like I don't know the band, and I get there, and it's
just
like
get
y'all,
that.
and I'm good now. My
Right,
boys, and you know what I mean? It's like,
right.
yeah, yeah.
So I just say that to say, like, it for me, because I started off music at 13 as a hip hop lyricist. 14, I'm a
Oh
hip
wow,
hop lyricist. Right.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Here's the timeline. I always say I try to give people the Reader's Digest version, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
at 14, in fact, in the same house where I am right now with my dad, I'm on the porch, and I'm listening to Raekwon, Criminology, and Streets. I forgot the other side. Criminology, Glaciers of Ice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm listening to it. I love Wu Tang. I'm into it. I'm already writing poetry at 8, and my mother tells me that the stuff that I write inside the cards for her is like really nice. She's like, "You really got a talent." So that's what opened my eyes to it. At 13,
Right.
listening to these raps. 14, I'm on the porch. I write out Criminology, like I write out word for word. I rehearse the rap along with it, and then at that point, like me and my brothers used to be around here running around the neighborhood playing. At that point, I'm on the porch for like the rest of the summer for at least an hour or so, just writing these raps and just appreciating the art that's out there. Come 8th grade, end of my 8th grade year, I hook up with a buddy of mine who I find out raps too, and then we form a 3-person rap group. Rap group was called Verbal Assassins. It was a positive
Mm-hmm.
young rap group at that time, 1995. Yeah, 4 or 5. And so I do that from 14 to 16. At 16, in this 3-person group, one of the guys that's making the beats, he gets a car at 16. He gets a girlfriend at 16. He gets the hell away from us at 16.
I was about to say with y'all at that point.
Exactly. So at that point,
Mm-hmm.
he does that. But since we've been in the studio so long together, i.e., Mama's basement, right? His mom's basement, I'm around it, so I'm kind of familiar with it. I just never tried my hand at it myself. So I'm like, I can't let the group go down. So I got a good job. I had to happen to have a good job at 16. I was making like $250 a week at 16, 1997, bro. It was crazy.
Oh wow,
Bro, I was in the.
what the hell are you doing?
Hold on, let me stop. Let me. No, fuck with you. Bruh, this was the most amazing thing ever, right? So I was working at SP Richards in Jessup. My
Mm-hmm.
homeboy's father, he had a buddy out there who got us a job. We were 16. We were real mature. We would tell him like, we want to start working or whatever, making our own money. We want to save up money, buy ourselves cars, and just try to start getting ahead on our life. So he talks to his.
Mm-hmm.
We get a job there. We're working at SP Richards, which is just a warehouse where we're just filling orders, from a warehouse to an assembly line. We're working there 25 hours a week at at 15, 16, bro. So somebody, somebody supposed to be in jail right now, right?
Right. Y'all breaking all kind of child labor laws and shit.
Well, I'll tell
I
you,
don't know how y'all did homework and
right?
schoolwork and all that.
Bruh, let me tell you something, bro. That's the only reason why we were able to keep the jobs. Because what they told us, see, we were real productive kids. We weren't into no trouble.
Mhm.
We get out of school every day. We come home. We jump in the studio. We're making music. And it's positive music. Like, we're really trying to get ahead, right?
Right.
So they were like, our parents were like, look, keep your grades up. You're good. So we kept our grades up. Bro, I'm making $250 a week at 16.
And
At
that's like a stack. That's like $1,000 right there.
stack, bruh. Fucking stack.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I have this job. I asked my mom. I say, can you purchase this piece of equipment for me? It's $1,100. I'm gonna save up my money over these next couple of weeks, give it all back to you, but I want to go ahead and jump in because my man is not making any more beats anymore. So
Right.
she says, yes, I get the machine. I try my hand at it, and in like under 90 days, I have a knack for it, like a real knack. Like I'm making
Wow.
stuff that now I tell everybody, I'm like, so for the first 30 days, I was making extremely good music for cheap porn. You know, that was like,
Right. I know exactly what you're talking about. Bump chicka bow now, bump chicka bow now. The Cinemax porn, the little Cinemax pornos and shit. Right.
Dumbass like voices that come out of nowhere singing stupid songs and shit. You're just like, yo.
Right.
So I'm making, these cheesy rinky dink, but at the same time though, I'm just having fun. There's no pressure. I'm just having fun, right? Bruh. A couple weeks later, I make something that we could really use. Like I'm really getting the knack of it. And then I find out from there that I actually have a knack for this. And I become the producer for the group. And here was my way of producing. So you know how we usually sampling and chopping records, right? So we did that in his basement with the sampler, with the keyboard that was on top of the wash machine, the old tape jack with the doors broke off the front and shit like that.
Right.
We doing all kinds of stuff to make this work. But so at this point, I buy this machine. My family has digital cable. I take my 4-track, I hook it up to the digital cable, and that was when we just started having individual music channels for each genre. I would take a tape, I would put it on a music channel, record that tape, and go to school. So when I came home, I would have a tape full of like one genre of music, and that's what I used to chop up my samples. So one day.
Wow.
Exactly.
So did you come up with this idea to do that, to hook it up to the cable, or that was something that was just done?
I came up with that idea, man. I was trying to think of like how could I. Number one, I didn't have any records, right? But I'm used to seeing top samples. So I'm like, well, shit, we got a damn I got the ultimate record player. We got a TV where you can go to channel 479. Right. And it's just jazz. You can go to 4.
Yeah, and that was just when that shit came out.
Came out.
Because before that, remember they had the video channel, like the box and all of that stuff.
Jukebox.
That was smart. That was genius.
Thanks, bro. I hook it up to that. I come home every day. I take these Maxell tapes. I come home every day, and I'm listening to one genre a day and chopping that up to make beats and that kind of thing, right? I have no idea I'm exposing myself in the deepest way, doing ear training, doing I have no idea. It just makes sense to me. I'm just like,
right.
So that goes on, and then from 16 to 17, I started really realizing I had a knack for it, and I had a really good ear for it, no instruction. So I go from that to then I say, you know what? If I could do this well without knowing anything about music, what would happen if I learned? Like, what would happen if I did something formally? So what that did was it made me go from there and say, I'm going to teach myself how to read music. And now let me tell you a funny ass story, bro. So I'm in this house right here where I'm right now with my dad, right? I'm 17 years old. I'm telling my dad, I'm like, Dad, I'm thinking about, playing the piano. Like, I really want to learn how to play the piano, man. I just wish I knew how. So he's like, yeah, man. He's smoking his weed and everything. He's like, yeah, man, I see what you said. Like, yeah, it would be... Right. So I talked to him about every other day about that. So we just sitting there, he's like, yeah, man, I feel you. He's like, man, I wish I could help you, man. He's like, well, I tell you what, I mean, if you want to, you can go in the middle room there. It's an adult piano course in there. You might be able to. I'm like, I've been sitting here for a month talking about I want to learn. You smoking weed talking about, yeah, man, I feel you, man. Yeah, I feel you. If you can learn. And you got a damn piano course 30 feet away from us right now. Like, are you kidding me? Yo, it was crazy.
What was it, a piano or a piano course?
A course. He had a whole piano course with like the tapes and the books just right in the house, because he had a keyboard before that, right? But he never.
And you never knew that?
Bro, I never knew, because it wasn't visible at all. Like it was, but he was sitting there the whole time. Right. Having this course, and he's just like, yeah, man. But let me tell you this, bro. So this is like the first of many stories of this that I tell you, like, over time, bro, like of the course of our friendship. My father, I'm convinced he is the second coming of Red Fox, bro. This dude is the comedian in my family that
Mhm.
never even consider himself a comedian, bro. This dude is a trip, man. So anyway, like he the type of dude where he talks and he says which are calm, right? But he says it so much that it replaces
Mhm.
everything in a sentence where you need information. So he like, man, go give me the Witchcom over the
Right.
about the Witchcom, and you see, he like, I have no idea what you're talking about. He like, oh, all right. He like, he just
Right. My grandmother used to do that. She everything was whatchamacallit and what's her name.
right, and he's been doing this shit since he was my age. Like he don't have all time. Like, I
Mhm.
can't even let him off the hook. But anyway, bro, to fast forward, it basically equals me, starting to I taught myself how to read music, and then from teaching myself how to read music, I then instead of sampling other people's music and chopping samples like before, what I did from there was I said from now on I'm only gonna sample myself. So what I would do from there is
Wow.
anything I learned or anything I just reached out and just tried by ear, I would just sample that and then I would chop myself up. So it became a whole different way of making music, right? So I do that from 17. By the time I hit 18, I'm like, okay, I'm really ready to learn. I'm in one of those Pentecostal
Mhm.
churches, right, where you're forced to do something. You're gonna do something in this church, right? So that's where I go to
Right.
church, right, at the time. So in all of the things they tried to make me be a deacon, that shit wasn't for me. I wound up being like, you know what? I can. I was like, you know what? That music thing over there, right? I'm like, I'm already used to it. It's something I'm into. I'm like, could I go over there and participate? I'll go over there, bro. I
Mhm.
sit behind the music section, and from that perspective, look at this environment. It changes my entire perspective of music. First of all, I realized that, wait a minute, what you saying right now, that wouldn't be nothing without this organ. And what you just said right there, this organ is what made that like that did
Right.
it. I
Right. Right.
realized, or it was like, wow, these people are really comforted right now, and it's because of the fact that he's playing like these chords that really just make you feel good and make
Mhm.
you feel, embraced or what have you.
Right.
So I honestly want to say, bro, that was literally my first introduction to film scoring because that's exactly what it is. It's
Right.
literally
Right. Setting a mood and a tone.
it's literally musicians scoring the film of life, like that, like you're listening to things unfold and you're combining like the right elements that go along with that emotion. That's a film score.
Right.
So
Right.
at that point my whole appreciation for music, like literally, like it explodes, bro. I hear like a lot of the bass line and drum beats that I hear in hip hop, I hear it showing up in this music. I realize
Mhm.
I'm a dude that like really likes bass, and my ear can hear it from the ground up because of all of my bass and drum stuff. So this opens up to where now I'm studying the piano. I was getting ready to give up though. I was because I still didn't know, like, how do I go from this to actually doing what I'm doing now, like playing by ear, improvising, that kind of thing, right? And I didn't have a teacher. It was very similar, even though I'm on the cusp, at 38,
Mhm.
the cusp of the millennial thing, but it was still that kind of thing where it was like the organist at the church, great guy. He didn't have time though, and for him, like,
Right.
this is my thing. Like, hey, you doing your thing, and he
Mhm.
was around everything, but
Right.
so but mostly
That was like asking Tom Brady to train the next quarterback. He like, nah, I'm still playing.
still playing, bro. I mean, damn,
Right.
give me a little bit more time. Like, give me a few more minutes. So,
Right.
exactly. So at this point now, I have a buddy in this particular church. I have one of my best friends who was playing the drums, right? And he can vibe with me because we're at the same age, so we vibe on like the same kind of stuff. So any little thing I learn, he's celebrating, right? So I
Mhm.
learned one chord, bro. I learned one chord. We sit there and play that one chord and jam on it for 2 hours, right? It's just fun. So he kind of kept my head in the game. But at some point, I was like, yeah, I'm getting ready to give up because I don't know how I'm going to do this. And we're at this church, and
Mhm.
during the time, it's just happened to be like one of those evening services. We're there. I'm sitting on the side. Everything is going on. And on the other side of the church, there's a grand piano. But the musician from that church is sitting at that grand piano, and he's playing. He's playing along with our organist and our drummer, blah, blah, blah. Everything's cool.
Mhm.
So I'm looking like sad because I really want to participate, but there's nothing for me to play, and I don't really know what I'm doing. So he says, "Hey man, why don't you go on the other side of the church and ask the guy like if you can sit down and play." Now this is a guy that's playing successfully already. So so
Right.
I'm like, cool. Now I did have a way of like finding the key of a song and then like developing like a little melody around it, but it wasn't anything like I was plucking around. I go over there, I ask him, I sit down. He sees that like I don't know what I'm doing, but at the same time I have figured out a few things. But most of all, I want it. Like I really want it. And after that,
Hmm.
he says to me, he's like, "You should let me take you under my wing and teach you." He's like, "Because you remind me a lot of myself,
Wow.
bruh." I literally went from there, and for the next 2 years, him and I would be like this. I would go to his house every
Mm.
Monday and do these 2 hour lessons. He would pour into me, man, in a way that just like it changed my life, bro. It absolutely changed my life. And he hardly charged me anything. It was like $25 an hour. Like he just was like, "I just really believe in you." He said,
So who was this guy? What's his name? Let's shout him out.
"No doubt, man." And he's transitioned now, so like he's here with me. But his
Uh,
name, yeah, his name is Dr. Maurice Johnson, man. And he lived in Capitol
oh
Heights.
wow.
Yeah. And here's the interesting part. And I have a book. I wish I had it in here so I could show you. When I first met him, he had just started like publishing his own arrangements of like hymns and gospel songs, right? And he had a school,
Hmm.
like his own school, his own like personal business where, he considered it like his own school. So, long story short, he has these publications. I get one of them, and in it, he writes, "This is to my star pupil." He's like, "I'm passing down the mantle to you." Like he was like, and he talked to me. He's like, "I really,"
Wow.
yeah. He said, "I really mean it." He said because he said you remind me so much of myself, and he said, I just want to pour into you." This brother taught me not just music, man. He taught me how to have a backbone. He taught me how to negotiate. He taught me about a concept that he called situational variables, which was, and you could relate to this. It was literally just
Hmm.
he was saying, "Hey, you're gonna show up one day, and the microphone's not gonna be the best, and the speakers won't be the best, and the people will be seated in a particular
Right.
way where you're gonna have to like boom." So
Hmm.
he was giving me like, okay, here's the craft, but then here's how to prepare for the unexpected still be comfortable in the midst of uncertainty. You know what I mean? So he pours all of this into me, bro,
Hmm.
and that develops me into a person who then at
Right.
1 would be able to go ahead and jump into the music industry full time. I got a job at a church at 21, and I had enough of a background in traditional formal training at that point, as well as playing by ear and that kind of thing, to be able to at 21 have a full time job, making $100 more than I was making at my 9 to 5 at that point, and my life has been that
Wow.
ever since. That's been my life ever
Hmm.
since at 21. You know, um, yeah, bro. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I can really appreciate your journey and just the correlation. I just see a lot of correlation between just like the path, man. Um, yeah. So
Well, that's why I always try to make sure that I mentor anyone who's willing and accepting.
right.
Because the same way people have poured into me, you owe it to give it back.
Yeah.
And so and that's the thing in this, and so people, I remember Rodney Perry called me like last month,
Okay.
and he said, "Hey man, I just wanted to tell you that you're definitely good for the craft.
Yeah.
um, that anybody that comes down to Atlanta and I ask them who their OG is, they say Larry Lancaster."
Wow.
And he said, "I just wanted you to know, man, I know you probably feel like your career ain't take off, or maybe you ain't making." He said, "Man, just understand that you're making a difference and an impact on the culture and the craft of comedy." And I said, "Wow, man, thank you, man." And so Rodney is like a big brother to me.
Yeah.
Rodney is a successful comic, was on the Monique show, and he tours all around the country doing great things, does radio appearances, been in countless movies and all that stuff. And for him to take the time out to call me and just say, "Man, you're doing a good job giving back to the craft."
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that, man, and that meant a lot to me. And so shout out to your mentor, because that's what, think about it. He had all this knowledge and understood, what good is it if I'm keeping it to myself?
Hmm. Right.
And then you come and he probably can see the hunger in you. You know he saw it. He say, this is somebody who, when I pour into them and get them, they won't waste it.
Right.
And so that, yeah, it was a match made in heaven, and that's a beautiful thing when those two collide.
Yeah, bro. I totally agree. You know, what it is for me, bro, is this. And I don't know if you on your phone right now? You using your phone?
Yeah, I'm on the phone.
Okay. Can you your signal got a little like grainy. You might want to turn your Wi-Fi off and turn it right back on your phone. Just reset it, see if it.
But the funny part is I don't even think my Wi-Fi is on.
Oh,
Let me see.
yeah, bro. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it better now? What is it?
It's a little bit better, yeah. And I can still hear you clearly. Your picture was, but it's good though. I can actually still hear you good. So you know, the interesting thing, bro, is I started teaching. Like I started my quote unquote mentoring kind of thing in 2004, right? I taught from 2004 to 2011, and I literally, like, immediately when I started teaching, it really connected with something that's a deep part of my personality, which is always giving back, right? The most rewarding thing for me when it comes to teaching or mentoring or what have you is literally the moment when something that I'm pouring into the person, like when it clicks, when they get it, when they have the aha moment, when they do it for themselves, or when it's done in a way where it shows them the way to like their style or to whatever they're doing. Like that moment for me, bro, is like literally in every sense of the word priceless. Like money cannot buy that, man, because for me, I think, you know, and I was just mentioning this earlier. This is where I credit this to. You know, I was raised by a mother who was a 30-year school teacher who started me off at a very young age with education and exposure, right, to a lot of different things. What it did for me was it made it be where I have enough education and experience to where I don't deal with insecurity, you know, because
Right.
yeah, insecurity a lot of times is bred by lack of exposure, lack of education, and lack of that kind of support, like that kind of like personal validation from another source where they can inject that into you and build your confidence and nurture you in that way. So, you know, what it means is that like I've never been a person that's stingy with information. Like I'm like you. It's just like when anything that I learn, it's a personal duty for me to pay it forward, pass it on to someone else. Like I just don't even understand any other way. But I also realize it's because I don't live in a world, you know, this world here in my head. I don't live in a world where there's lack or where there's only enough people and there's not enough to go around, or that, you know, if
Right.
the person over here is doing this, then oh my gosh, they might take all my opportunity. Like I don't live in that world.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know?
Right. Right. Right.
So that's why I can really understand, you know, what you're saying, and why, yeah, man, that giving back in that way, it becomes a duty. But I realize, yeah, if unless you know that like there's enough to go around, and like the best thing you can do, even for yourself, like even if you're trying to go higher, it's like the best thing you could do is to help someone else, man. I mean, like that's the greatest and most like virtuous thing you could do, you know. But it's all mindset, man. It's all mindset and perspective, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think, see, what happens is it's a legacy.
Yeah,
So the same way you said your mentor transition, he still lives through you
exactly.
because of what he poured into you. And so when you pour into other people, those are, you know, he's still living,
Mhm.
because that creates another piece of him, another piece of him, another piece of him. Every time you, and then when those people mentor to give back to what you gave them, they're still keeping him alive. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. It's, you do something so unselfishly,
Right.
but it rewards you in a very selfish way, because it's like if you start a karate school, right? And say you was the teacher of Bruce Lee, and then Bruce Lee had all these students and they learned and mastered the craft through him. Think about what that means.
Right.
All these people still keeping his name alive and still keeping his memory alive,
Right.
and through his teachings and his art and his craft, what he learned. That's what giving back really means. Is keeping a legacy that'll still be here when you're gone. And so when you're selfish, that selfishness dies with your ass. You know,
Mm,
when you keep everything
it
to
does.
yourself, you die with that. You
You,
don't live on because you haven't put something else in somebody that keeps you living.
man, I'm gonna tell you, one of my favorite quotes is "Don't die with the music in you," and
Mm-hmm.
and I say that because even if you take the word music there, but you use it to mean everything else we're saying, it's saying the same.
Right.
It's like, and I'm gonna tell you something, bro. So this is literally the reason why I'm doing everything I'm doing all the way down to this moment right here. Because the one thing I learned, I jumped on YouTube, jumped online rather in 2007, right? 2006,
Mm-hmm.
I saw the internet, I saw this computer thing, I saw where it was going. I saw that it was removing the middleman and the middle woman out of the equation.
Right.
Yeah, all the things I was trying to do, I was like, yo, now I have the ability to be right there in front of the people who are out there looking for what I do, or I'm their cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people all the time, you might not be one person's cup of tea, but you're somebody else's full course meal. So I like knew that. I'm like,
Right. Right.
I know
Right.
what I have to
Mm-hmm.
offer for somebody, right? So I was like, wow, here's this internet thing where I can make content and it could be in front of the people who can find their way to it. I after that part,
Mm-hmm.
bro, I took 2006 and learned the computer. By 2007, I started my company Fruition Music, and off of this same principle, I took the company from 2008 to 2014 from zero to six-figure business. And it was all just off of being like, you know what? I have the ability to keep showing up over and over and over, helping people. And in the process, I'm actually cloning myself because every single video that
Mm-hmm.
every single expression that I do, that gets to live on and continue by itself to have a life of its own to touch people. And I'm literally cloning myself doing that. Like,
Right.
real
Right.
talk, bro, I went bananas. I made 2,000 videos on my first YouTube channel, bro, and
Wow.
exactly. But I had no fear. I had no like. I'm worried about what other people gonna think. I just knew what was in my
Mm-hmm.
heart, and I just never second guessed it. I knew the value of it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why,
Mm-hmm.
I'm this person today where, music is just one small slice of my pie, man. Outside of that, like I'm helping people day in and day out with mindset, with psychology around just like what it takes to get out of your own way to be who you need to be and whatever that is
Mm-hmm.
being, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, bro.
Yeah, it's weird because it's funny that we're having this conversation because a friend of mine gave me a book called Millionaire Mindset, and that's basically what it talks about is that um, people aren't successful not because they don't know how to do things or they don't have resources. It's their mindset,
The mind.
and it basically you have to change the way you think about things, change the way and that will affect everything else. And a lot of times we just deal with the symptoms and stuff, but we don't get to the root of why we are doing what we're doing. And so that's why, and so basically that's what you just said about, your belief. Yo, we got a complete idiot. I hate to use this as an
No,
example,
don't
but we
hate.
have a
It
complete
is
idiot
at the
as
top.
the president because he had such a supreme belief in himself. And I think people, and I'm learning now that will get you further than ability. Just the belief in yourself.
Bruh, bruh. I just put it up a couple days ago, bro. I was like, and this became an original quote. I was like, most times the difference between whether you're the shit or not is confidence, yo. Yo, it's
Right,
just,
right.
yo, and this is why I love actually, like, this is cool because it's the first time we ever got a chance to dig in this deep, and but I knew it from the way that I experienced you, like where you are now, and when we just rocking together, just doing a show together. I'm like, his journey is so much
Right.
simpler than mine. When it comes to that confidence piece, man, and I think about it like, okay, you have that crossover point where you go from not being confident to settling in to being confident. And it doesn't mean, like you say, you never get nervous or anything like that, but there's an underlying,
Right, right, right.
and people only take you as serious as you take yourself. One of the things that I can imagine
Mhm.
as a professional comedian is that there's so much about when something goes over well or not. It's so much about how confident you are when you deliver that shit.
Right, right. We call it selling your material.
Whew.
And so you have to say it as if it's already funny, like you already got the laugh. You say it as if you know what I'm about to tell you is going to rock you. And the audience can tell when you're not sure of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to go up there. And there's been times when you done seen it where the audience wasn't really rolling out like they was tough. And,
Right.
you know, and I had to work them and work them and work them and keep work. And then next thing you know, I got them. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I got them.
Yeah.
But you gotta have that confidence to stand in the pocket and take that,
Yeah.
you know, that indifference that maybe they not laughing or
Right.
maybe they not feeling what you saying. You gotta stay in the pocket and be sure of yourself and get them.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the audience pick up and like, okay, and they start rocking with you. But
Bruh.
it's a process.
Bruh, let me tell you. Not only is it a process, bro, but let me tell you like exactly a moment that you and I both can relate to in life that it is. It is this moment right here, bro. It is this moment.
Yeah.
It's that, bruh. It's that Matrix shit. You know why?
Yeah.
Because
Right.
one of the most amazing things, bro. One of the most amazing things, and I say this as an improviser myself, because I'm doing the same thing, and it's the same thing you're doing, is not only when you got the indifference and you got all these things, but when you utilize it, when you use that to be able to, like, it's not even, it's like instead of like the punch coming your way and you be like, oh, like you soak it up and then
Right.
I mean, and
You absorb the energy. Right.
bruh,
And throw it back at them.
bruh,
Exactly.
I call it, I did a live stream that I recorded from my podcast like weeks ago, and it was called the home run theory. And the whole concept was about the fact that the pitcher is the one that's most responsible for the home run. The batter
Yeah.
is just the one that just redirects the energy. Like
Right.
like Sammy Sosa was huge, but to be honest,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't even like he used all of that strength just to redirect it because the 100 mile an hour
Mm-hmm.
fastball was already coming this way. That's
Right, 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 right.
so like that's why I can understand that so well and why I can really appreciate that, bro. Like that's really what it is.
Right.
Like literally
And where's like what you
like a boxer.
and like where somebody else see 100 mile an hour punch, they ducking. You know what I mean? Or
Right,
they
right,
moving out the way.
right.
He took, I mean, he gonna step right into it, face it, hit it, and redirect it and using
All right.
it for his benefit.
That's it, bro.
That's a good analogy. Great analogy.
Let me tell you, bro. So like with that and even with the segue of what you were talking about, like as far as mindset and that kind of thing, because that's all it is, bro. Like literally mindset is everything. You know, with that, what have things been like during this time, man? Because, you know, I've found ways to pivot, you know, and I'm always talking to people every day about like how they've pivoted or like how things have been for them during this time. So like for you, yeah, in a nutshell, like how like what's that been like for you, man, during this time?
Well, it's actually been peaceful for me. I've enjoyed the stillness and the peacefulness of it.
Yeah,
I've been in the rat race and on the ground for like 21 years.
yeah,
And so I'm actually enjoying the break. I got to spend a lot of time with my son. I got to relax at home. My finances are such where I'm not hurting.
yeah,
God has blessed me to have like, you know, multiple streams of income. And I always kept my life at a point where I never lived outside my means trying to be flashy and show people that I'm successful. So
yeah,
I kept my life kind of simple. So when things happened, um, you know, I can withstand it because I'm like, okay, um, actually being an artist prepared me for
yeah,
what we're facing now because you have to when your money is up and everything's going good, you gotta save it
yeah,
because you know that drought could come.
yeah,
And I've been through that point where I was making all this money, I was going back and forth to Atlanta and traveling and all this shit. And I was in the mall shopping and buying my boys shit and all that.
yeah.
And then when the winter came and we had those snowstorms and the shows get canceled and all that shit,
Right,
I ain't had the money.
right.
So I learned from that and it taught me to put money up when shit is good. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So when things happen, you can sustain yourself when money's not coming in. And that's the thing, as an artist, you have to discipline yourself to do that, because when shit coming in, you can't think of when it's not coming in.
Right.
You know, because you're too busy enjoying when it's coming in. But we always got to put money up,
That's it.
and also having multiple streams of income. So I do the radio,
Yeah.
I mentor kids, I do different things. And so I'm able to, I don't have to be desperate. I don't have to be like, man, I gotta,
Right.
I gotta find a show. I gotta put myself at risk. I gotta do this. If a show come and I want to do it, then I do it. If it's some shit, I'm like, I don't want to be bothered with that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like virtual comedy. People call me to do virtual shows, right?
Right. Talk about
And
it.
I hate doing them because I just don't like, just don't like the medium for comedy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I try to talk people out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I agree to it, I'm only agreeing to maybe 5 to 10 minutes at a time. I could do that.
Right.
But for the most part, I haven't had to really do that. And there are people who are doing it and readjusting themselves, and that's great. And that's what you're supposed to do. They're adapting. Mm-hmm. And I've adapted because I've learned how to do it. I just don't like doing it. And so when you get to a certain age and a certain point, I'm like, I don't want to do shit I don't like just because I got to do it. So if it's some shit I don't like, I ain't doing it.
Bro,
now, if I had to do it, that's something different. But I don't have to do it, so I don't.
I love it, bro. I love your practical mindset, bro. It so resonates with me, man. This way of thinking, I've been fortunate to say that I've been living my life and my career in that same way over the past decade. I built things to where I didn't have to take all of the gigs just because it was like, I need to make $1. Because I vowed something to myself, man, and this was early on. Music started off for me as just purely a love, right? It wasn't about the money, really the love and the ability to share with other people. So at some point, when I got the opportunity to go full time, I always vowed to myself that if it ever got to a point where I was doing music and I was having a really negative experience, like it wasn't something I wanted to do, it was music I didn't agree with, that I would stop on the dime, because I didn't want to have that negative relationship with music, because that's not what it started out for me. So I couldn't have something that brought me so much joy bringing me so much pain. So what I did was, instead of having to stop, I just did like you did. I became an entrepreneur. I developed multiple streams of income for myself. And then I made it where I could just take the gigs that I wanted to, that fed me and did me internally. And I'm happy to say that, like, to this day, I've been fortunate to live like that. I couldn't agree with you more, man. I mean, your mindset about planning for the winter, planning for the storm, planning for the natural end of life, man, all I got to say, man, is your son is very fortunate, bro. Your son is extremely fortunate, man, because, he's got a father, man, that has a great perspective on life and how to prepare for things in a very practical and balanced way. So I feel you on that, man. There's a lot of things that's for different people when it comes to comedy or any other kind of thing. If I think about comedy, there's, for some people, TikTok is a great thing or whatever, because that's something that flows with a 1 minute. For some other people, it's virtual. Some other people, it's not. I tell you, bro, there's one thing I do think is for you, bro, and it's kind of what I sent you a text about the other day, bro. It's this app called Clubhouse, bro. This app called Clubhouse.
Right.
Yeah, and I want to just give you, even since the last time we talked, I want to kind of give you my quick spiel on it now. I mean, I already thought this was for you before this conversation, but now I'm like, oh, hell yeah, because I've experienced this other side. One other question I do want to ask you is, I didn't know about your mentoring kids situation, man. Is that for a school, or is that like a
No, I work for a mentoring organization. It's called Above It All.
Yeah.
And so real, like, family oriented type business.
Yeah.
And basically they connect with therapists, and the therapists recommend certain children with different issues, and you're called a direct care counselor, and you mentor the children.
Nice,
and
bro.
help them whatever their issues are. And sometimes it's sometimes just a kid knowing like, look, if you need me, call me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I had
Yeah.
a little brother. He got his first job. And so he was like, look, Mr. Larry, I need some black sweatpants. I went to Marshall's, got him 2 or 3 pairs of sweatpants. You know,
Yeah.
the kid call you, hey, I call him, hey man, y'all need anything? You good? Well, you know, I need lunch meat. And, you know, I go to the market and get the stuff and take it to him. You know, just knowing somebody got you. Like, even if I don't talk to you every day, we ain't got to spend a lot of time, whatever. But knowing somebody's there within a phone call, and that's going to show up and produce.
Bro, let me tell you,
And so, that's important.
bro,
Because
it's
too many times our children, the adults have let them down, you
right.
know? So, and that's the thing, building that rapport, building that trust with the kid. Even when I worked in the school system, I basically kind of did the same thing and just, you know, our children got so many different issues, man, and so many different things they're dealing with. So you have to approach it not paying attention to what the bizarre behavior is, but
Right.
what could the underlying
In fact,
cause of that behavior.
you're saying
Again, we see the
that.
same. Oh, these kids disrespectful. They this and they that. And don't get me wrong, they are. But why are that way? Why are they that way? What happened to them? What adult put, you know, because basically a child is like a computer program.
Yep.
So who programmed that child to be that way? And how do we go and reprogram them so that they could be productive, successful people?
Bro, I couldn't agree with you more, man. Children are
Hey,
sponges.
what time is it? Aaron? What time is it?
Right now, it is exactly 8:45.
Okay, because I got to get ready to roll, brother. I
Perfect.
have a open mic that I want to get to tonight,
Nice.
and we expecting some snow tomorrow night. So who knows how long we're gonna be in? And so I always try to show up at the open mics and hang out with the comics. I mean, you know, of course we do everything responsibly or whatever, the small groups and all that stuff. But yeah, I want to try to get to the open mic.
That's what's up. Is this gonna be broadcast or is this like private?
No, this is a live open mic at Magoobies. They do one on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I just like to go. I sit back from a distance. I don't even perform. I just like to be around the younger cats, see what they're doing. Because when you're around youth, it keeps you youthful.
Right.
And they appreciate me showing up, you know, watching
Right.
what they're doing. And
Right.
so, yeah, I always try to make sure and that's how I stay relevant and you know, keep my hand on the pulse of young people.
Yeah, bro. Let me tell you, man. Last thing I'll say, bro. I really appreciate chopping it up with you like this, man. You learn so much, man. And the thing I appreciate most is learning about just you from that perspective of holding space and that availability, that nurturing, man, that you have been doing for children and stuff. Like it's so good, bro. And so seeing that and then seeing like, yeah, that's what I see when I see him do what he does masterfully on stage, bro. Bro,
Right.
you're a legend, bro. We're gonna chop it up again, man. Cause I'll dig into that next part, with you. But man, yeah, bro, this has been great, man. Have a
Yeah, I really appreciated the conversation, man. So
yeah,
thank you, brother. And anytime, man, you know, when the schedule permits, I'm here for you.
yeah, bro. We'll catch up again soon, man, and finish it out, man. Hey, man, enjoy your night tonight, bro.
Okay, thank you, brother. Learned a lot about you too, man. Great, great, great journey, great testimony. It's not just a journey, it's a testimony.
100%, bro.
My
No,
man. Thank you, brother.
no doubt, bro. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, you too.